Now let's talk about violence against women. An unfortunate consequence of inequality is violence. The ultimate way to exert your control over another human being is through violence. And unfortunately, when you have inequality in society, you're going to have violence between groups. So, how do men completely exert their control and dominance over women? Through violence. And this is why statistics indicate that men are more likely to be violent towards women than women are to men. So let's deal with the first term on this slide, the rule of thumb. Now, the rule of thumb refers to an archaic law in the 1800s, the 19th century, that gave a man permission to beat his wife as long as he didn't use a stick any thicker than his thumb. Now, it wasn't like police would come to the scene and go, hey, stop beating her, let me see, measure, okay, it's small enough, carry on. If they really cared about the health and safety of women, they would not have allowed a man to beat a woman in the first place. So they weren't determining the size of the object to, keep her from being seriously injured. If they really cared about injury, they wouldn't allow it at all. And it wasn't like the police actually measured the stick that a woman may have been beat with. It was just a way of giving men permission to discipline his property. Because until women got the right to vote and had the right to self-autonomy, okay, and self-actualization, according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, then a man could discipline his property, which meant that he could beat a woman. He could beat his wife. So each year, 430,000 women are raped, sexually assaulted, or victims of an attempted rape. But that's only according to what police understand or know about sexual assault. So based on police statistics, about 430,000 women annually are victims of a sexual crime. But keep in mind that 60% of rapes go unreported. So this is based on what police know, based on the fact that women have reported sexual assault or attempted sexual assault to law enforcement officers. Most offenders that hurt women are known to the victim. So the person most likely to harm a woman is a man she knows or a man she's in a relationship with, which is when a woman comes up missing or she's the unfortunate victim of homicide. The first person they look at, the usual suspects, are oftentimes the men in her social circle, the men she's been in relationships with, who she's married to, who she broke up with, someone that was interested in her and she rebuffed his advances, a guy living in her building. They look for men that know the victim. The most likely place a woman's going to be assaulted is in her own home. So while most of us would like to feel safe in the places where we live, it turns out it's the most unsafe place for a woman because the person most likely to harm her is the man she's in a relationship with. Let's talk about sexual harassment. Now, men can be victims of sexual harassment too, but more often than not, women are victims of it. So sexual harassment refers to comments, gestures, or unwanted physical contact that are deliberate and repeated. So again, it is comments, things that you say about how she looks, she smells, her body, things of that nature. Gestures or unwanted physical contact. She doesn't want you pushing up against her. She doesn't want you touching her that way. And it's deliberate and oftentimes repeated. And then pornography has been blamed as a trigger for sexual violence. It is a more than $7 billion industry. And I'm not talking about your standard softcore porn. I'm talking about the kind of pornography where women are beaten, women are tied up, they're sodomized, they're physically slapped, their hair is pulled, they're choked. Violence accompanies the sex. That is the kind of pornography many sexual offenders prefer. So not all men that watch violent pornography rape, but all men that rape tend to watch violent pornography. And if not all, almost all consume this type of material. So there are feminists that believe that this triggers sexual assault, that it's only a matter of time before these men seek to act out on the fantasies that they get from these films.